It hits again. Kevy, he's done it one more time.
The Chaos Storm! Claire jumps in with the Grand Slam! But in a three-man Moonfall, it's just lights out for Direwolves, just like that.
The showstopper. Look at the backline. It's getting melted.
Something right now. Sonic Wave is there. It's getting lower and lower. Oh! They've stolen it! Mammoth have got the Baron. He's going to fall on down. It's just too much damage. Rest in peace.
Happy bloody Monday. You know why it's a good Monday? Because the LCO is back for week 3, day 1 of games. This is where things start to heat up. The leaderboard, it's all over the place. It's crazy. There's teams that are places we didn't expect them at the start of the split. We all had our power rankings. Throw them out the window because this one's been spicy. Now, let's have a look back quickly at what happened last week before we jump on into today.
Get caught on the rotate. QC jumps on in, but there's a two-man knock-up. There's the Moonlight Vigil that instantly gets the Quadra! That's the first Quadra kill of this year! Where did that come from? 200 years! Yeah, it seems to be working so far. Shot blast won't connect. Now comes the TP flank. Drake jumps in with a two-man Magnustorm onto the bot lane here. Off Kanga! And they just lock them down with that unstoppable force again. What will be Kevy now to sneak his way in. They're going to clear out the trap. The final spike goes across. Standard 50. He's just dead! What happens to Corporal? It looks so good, Rusty. It really looked prepped and ready to go. Tron the Pom is out.
Alright, he just ate it.
Mammoth has to run. They have to run. This is not looking like a winning team fight right now unless they can find something crazy. Piglet gets excited. They found one. Now he's going to run them all down. He's looking at a pentakill. That's a double. That's a triple. Oh, can he find any more? He's gone golden again. Mayfarm looking for this one. Are you going to spoon feed it across? And there's the Quadrat. Our second one of the LCO.
Some crazy games coming through to end last week. One in particular was all over the place, but it provided so much pure entertainment. And the boys that brought you all the action during those games, they're back again. Let's bring them in. Skimmy, Rusty, how are you feeling going into week 3?
Good, mate. The boys, yes. I was just watching back and just having a bit of a laugh at those clips, eh? You're going to tell in that last clip especially, I'm no longer casting. I'm just making noises. Sometimes you do that.
Look, it happens. Rusty, how about you? How you feeling going into the new week?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, we've got a lot of exciting games to look forward to, and a lot of learning, let's say, from last week's games as well. There was definitely some chaos that happened all over the Rift back, to put it lightly.
Yeah, chaos, upsets. Last week had it all, and I don't know how we're going to top it this week, but it's going to happen somehow. Now, let's have a look at the standings, where all the teams currently are after all that chaos last week. At the top, Peace and the Chiefs are still both undefeated, and who knows what's going to happen when they finally go head-to-head. In third, we have Pentanet, Mammoth, and Order all at 2-2, which is interesting because there was chances for a lot of these teams to be 3-1, but Mammoth up in third. Who could have called that one this early in the split? Tied 6th, you got Direwolves and Kanga down there at 1-3, and Gravitas still hunting for that first dub. So the question really is, are they going to be able to find that one this week, Skim?
It's a tough call. I think their game to start off against Kanga here is going to be a really big ask for both teams, quite honestly. How good are they? Because they've certainly had their fair share of stomps and demolitions, and they've been dismantled a fair few times. So up against one another, currently sitting down in the bottom. We'll get to see where they realistically should be placing.
Yeah, true. Anything else here rather that you would like to talk about, Rusty? Anything you want to highlight?
Yeah, there's one thing here, and that was that earlier on we had some interviews. I think it was the first week of the LCO, and some pundits were saying Direwolves might be a top 3 team. I just wanted to throw that one out there, and you know, their week 2 performance left a lot to be desired, and that now reflects in the scoreboard. So hoping to see a lot more from them in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I can see how that could work with the pure talent that they did bring into the lineup. I think they're still just working out all the kinks. It is still early days here in the split 1 for the year. Now let's have a look at what games are going to be coming up today for day number 1 of week 3. So 6 p.m. to kick things off. It's a bit of a battle of the bottom of the table right now, which is interesting to say. Looking at Kanga down here, a lot of people expected them to perform much better this split, but they've had a tough start to the split, so we'll see if they can pick up that W today. 7 p.m. PGG up against Order. That one's going to pop off. Let's see who takes the cake there. 8 p.m. Oh, finally, one of these teams is going to cop the big L, and one of them is going to stay undefeated. Chiefs and Peace going mono-mono, and Direwolves and Mammoth. This one's going to be interesting too, because Mammoth could continue this win streak, Skimmy.
They certainly could, and myself and Rusty are doing a bit of research going into this one, right? Sort of about this monumental victory here for Mammoth. It's actually only their fourth 2-0 week since 2019, which is crazy to say. So, look, quite honestly, they had the week for it. They are taking on what, as you saw, they're the Direwolves. Then they're going to be taking on Kanga as well.
Yeah.
It's very possible that we could have back-to-back 2-0s, and, you know, we go from talking about it being a step to becoming a jog to there's really a run actually happening there. And, you know, you're making history, and an amateur team coming in and sort of upsetting the apple cart like that. You have to, at some point, start believing your own hype and getting invested for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I'm already starting to jump on that bandwagon, jump on the hype train, because if an underdog's performing, you better believe I'm going to be front row right there, just cheering them on. Now, Rusty, anything you want to touch on in terms of today's games?
I mean, definitely just, I'm going to talk a lot about Game 3 when it happens, right? But there's always that small part of me that is excited for Game number 2 just a little bit more. And the cool thing about today's games, Mac, is that everyone is very similar on the scoreboard when they're playing against each other. So that's there's going to be a lot of separation, I think, from today's game.
Well, speaking of separation, I broke up with my girlfriend last week, and her name was Zeri, and she ended up somehow in the Rift. So let's have a look at Zeri, see how she's doing. I don't really care, because obviously, you know, the emotional departure is gone, so I have nothing to say about this. But Rusty, I think you've got a lot to say.
I mean, I can say a lot. It's now very uncomfortable if it's about an X. However, Zeri is the latest champion that is on the Rift. Now, she is... The best way I can describe Zeri for those that are unfamiliar with her is she's just a fly, right? Just that annoying buzzing sound around you constantly, but it's always there. And then when she uses her ultimate, she's actually a threat. Constantly, she's really annoying. Very high mobility, high scaling. Also high difficulty AD carry because her basic attack's a skill shot. So I would say, and Skimmy may echo this sentiment, she is a champion that we will probably see in competitive League of Legends. Where the reliable and best hands of the world come together to actually compete.
Yeah.
Okay, what about here in Ost, though? Are we going to see some?
For sure. I mean, we sing over elsewhere in the world, right? And it's just commonly paired with these enchanters, mainly because of the passive, right? She gains movement speed when she gets a shield. She gains her own shield when shredding others. So she's definitely a case of limit testing, or you got to sort of rewire your brain a little bit to use your auto attack as an active ability now as the Q. But the biggest thing for me has to be the fact that your ultimate, it really rewards not only good positioning, but good team fight comprehension, because you gain bonus movement speed, right, from keeping the ultimate active. So I'm sure we're going to see as the weeks and patches go by, teams just realize, just disengage. The ult fizzles out, and you suddenly don't have a Zeri that has like 800 movement speed, getting pentakills, farming you up, jumping over walls like a Talon, but it's an AD carry. So there's a lot to be desired, and I'm keen to see what we're going to get. I've already said to Rusty, we're going to get the Yuumi. We're seeing it all over the world. Yuumi, Zeri, it is the combo, it is the pairing, and it's pretty broken.
Okay, well, let's see if that one works or if it is, in fact, a trap. Speaking of traps, let's have a look at the trap picks that have been coming through. Now, Rusty, tell me, what does trap mean, other than, of course, like a big thing on the ground? I think Caitlin has a couple of those, but she's not on the list.
Yeah, it's also a style of music, Mac.
Yes,
but
that's
beyond,
where he was going.
beyond the music, these picks are... They're going to be a lot more nuanced as to why they're called trap picks in this. Good but bad. Bad because their win rates right now in the LCO are terrible. Good because they tend to fill a purpose for the teams that pick them. The reason that we've got these champions there, so Xin Zhao, for example, is currently 1-4 with a 20% win rate so far, based off the LCO games that we've seen from him, which is obviously a very low win rate. But then you have to look at why, and first of all, the one win comes from Chiefs playing it, right? A team that will not lose. They looked fantastic with the Xin. A lot of the losses are from the lower rated teams right now by the standings. Some of the reasons for this are generally because people don't play the champions the way they're meant to be played. Xin's a little bit of an exception to that. He's just standing out as an anomaly with a terrible win rate. Same thing with Jinx, which is just a lot of the lower rated teams are putting an extra high priority on that champion and just losing the games. Kali is very difficult to actually play properly in a competitive game when the build is tank. We've seen a lot of Akalis lose lane. We've seen a lot of team fight impact mid-game, and then they drop off and they're not relevant because they start to struggle to play the game out. So it can be a lot easier to just be a control mage for some teams. Jhin is an interesting one as well. Has got wins with players like Raze again, so the Chiefs doing very well with it. But you have to play Jhin in a very specific way where most supports don't play with you, right? You have to try and play by yourself, be self-sufficient. Pretty difficult to do sometimes. And there's a lot of play going away from bottom lane. But if you do that, Jhin doesn't always win that 1v1. There's actually a lot of risk in that. And, you know, the enemy ADs or Aphelios and Jinx will do more than you regardless. Okay. Gragas and Ornn are the big ones though, Mac. They're the biggest offenders on this list. They're trap picks because everyone's just picking them blind. Fourth pick top laner. You're getting counter picked. You're losing the game. This is every single team doing this. Yeah. And every single Gragas player has looked iffy. There's maybe one or two Gragas players that would stand out to me that have looked solid. But generally speaking, both Gragas and Ornn have just been blind picked. They've thrown their top laner to the wolves. It's been a bad time and you hate to see it. But with the high priority on blue side, a lot of this just kind of has to happen. Or with the red side teams picking top laners because they care about their mid laners a little more. Top laners' lives do matter as well.
Very true. Now, that was a lot. That was a lot. I thought I would be able to dance the whole time, but I already started to break a sweat, so I decided to stop. So props to you for even being able to concentrate the whole damn time. But look, we need to talk about something else that's awkward other than just Mac on the broadcast in general. It's Janna top with Smite. So I've heard this going around. You guys actually joked about it last week, but now we're seeing it internationally in competitive play. Tell me why.
Want to start?
Oh, well, all I want to say on this topic is how broken of a meta that, and I'm sure this is a very interesting discussion internally, right, for Riot to consider, like, as to experimenting versus the way they want the game to be played, right? But you see it happen in solo queue. You hear the stories. It's then having this absurd win rate. It's only by chance, or only a matter of time, really, I should say, until it infiltrates its way into competitive. You see it happen in Spain. They make it look good. Then you're starting to see it happen in LCS. Now NA looks actually entertaining to watch. It's got like 100k viewers. Which is,
yeah, it is fun to watch now.
I've never actually seen it be that high before, which is awesome. But yeah, look, you can play pretty much whatever you want, right, Zach? I mean, it's like, it's Janna, it's Karma, it's anything that allows you just to push the wave in, get free gold, roam as the second jungler, be very annoying, try and tilt the enemy team. If you get your carries fed, or the game says, oh, that's a shame, you're so far behind, look at your CS, have some objective bounties, you just pick up like 5k on the map. It's a little bit silly.
Have you seen it work, Mac? Yeah,
I have not seen it yet. I have not seen it.
Top lane isn't real. So the way that Janna plays as a top laner with Smite is you start in the enemy jungle, you move to the other side of the enemy jungle, you gank mid lane on the way because you have a support item and you get some plate gold from pushing the wave and getting the turret, and then you bring a mid laner to the enemy jungle because you're a Janna. And what basically happens, right, is the enemy top lane is like, I have to do something, right? Like Janna is winning the game, but if they group and you're grouped, you're a Janna and they're a top laner, so you win. So it's disgusting. I hate it. I wish it didn't exist, but it constantly works. And enchanters are a little bit busted in conclusion.
Right. So the point for the invade level 1 is that just because you have the extra smite and you can smash down whatever buff you go for?
Yeah. You can smite steal a jungle camp if they're not careful, or you force them to use smite, which means you follow them to the next jungle camp, Mac, and you smite that one. Yeah, the jungler's out of the game.
I hate that. That sounds horrible as a jungler. Now, of course, something that doesn't sound horrible is listening to you guys at home from the fans. It's back again this week. And I've heard we've actually had a whole bunch of entries in this one in terms of the questions. Because this week we have asked you guys to send questions in to ask and ask for some life advice, you know, certified life coaches. Apparently, look, I've been around the bush. I've lived a couple of years at least, so I think I've seen a thing or two that I could give you some advice on. And if you do want to ask the questions, we've already got a lot, but at LCO or hashtag LCO on Twitter, there is a post that you can comment on as well. I believe there's already like some kind of ridiculous amount of questions, 50 or so. So we'll see if any more come through. But speaking of, I believe we have a couple of answers to send to the questions already. So let's see what has been asked. So Fenner Monkey, what is your best advice in regards to losing weight and working out? Well, I'm not a big weight loser. I'm more just about going for the aesthetics and stuff, which I guess could be on the losing weight, but I already know an answer. Rusty, you got one?
I mean, the short answer is, like, best advice in regards to losing weight is a caloric deficit or just eating properly. the best advice in regards to working out is go. Right? Like, that's
Yes.
the short answer for both of them. So, like, because it is a generic question, in the way that it was worded to us, also, hi, Jason, I do know who that is. He's been doing well for himself, I will say.
Yeah.
As an aside, continue to do it, right? If it's not working, look at why. If it's because your diet is cheating a little bit too much, stop cheating, you know?
Yeah.
And keep working out. Because I know you're already working out.
My advice would just be, you know, the caloric deficit, which I struggle to do whenever I go. A little bit of intermittent fasting if your lifestyle allows it. And also, if you are eating at a caloric deficit, make sure you're getting all your nutrients. Make sure you get a good multi to make yourself healthy and you're not missing out on too much
Yes,
in
get the
that
vitamins.
regard. So, you know, supplements definitely
Hey, Mac,
help.
fun fact for you, intermittent fasting actually works super well for gut health, because
Does
if you time it over the time that you sleep and have a later lunch a couple days a week, your gut cleans itself better. So overall healthiness.
Well,
The
there
best,
you go.
The best cheat code I found for that is just have a coffee, play League of Legends, you forget about life.
Yeah, it's
you
actually true. Coffee and drinking a whole lot of water if you're intermittent fasting, because the caffeine suppresses your hunger, and when
Exactly.
you have a full belly of water, you go into the toilet every 10 minutes, but you're not thinking about food. Now, we do have
plus-
another
no,
question
go ahead.
to answer as well. Skimmy, tell me, take me through this one. Foggy Bear, what's you got?
Okay, let's see. What have we got? Most ridiculous purchase you've ever made on a whim. Most ridiculous purchase. I have to think of something. I'm pretty boring in that regard.
Man on a whim.
Rip off pants.
Rip off pants. What are you
Yep.
doing with those?
Ripping them off?
Is this Rusty in an alternative life?
Listen, that's a story for off air,
Yes.
and that's all I'm going to say on it. That is literally not saying another word.
Oh,
Thinking
no.
really hard about that one. I think when it comes to ridiculous purchases, I think like back to festival days, pre everything, when you had to pay like $20 for a drink at a festival. I hated that, but I do it.
True.
So
True.
I will put that out there because I think it's definitely not worth it in hindsight. Yeah. Either way, that's it. That's it
Valid.
for From the Fans. And it is time to now move into the discussion on the game. First game, of course, is going to be Gravitas and Kanga going head-to-head, but let's talk Gravitas first. And Skimmy, before I throw it over to you, I have heard, actually, that Zeus is coming back and he's in for Foreigner today.
He is, yeah. So a few familiar faces, if you've actually followed this Gravitas roster over the last few years. Nobody. He's going to be coming in here for what will be only his fourth start in the LCO. Played a bit part role last year, mostly because Safa was the starting top laner, and it's a big reason, a big voice on their team. Zeus comes back into the jungler that made a bit of a name for himself last year. The one play that sticks out for me is when he stole the Baron as the Hecarim. For good as a soundbite that was played in promos all over the show. But Dejan continues. Piglet and Entrust are being shown the green light to continue to be that starting bot lane as well. And yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do. Maybe it's a bit of a blend of experience and new guard, but you know, at the end of the day, they're going to need all the help they can get. Right, still searching for that very first victory.
I think there is a chance for them to definitely find that today, because Kanga, they're still trying to work the kinks out as well, trying to really figure out how the chemistry is supposed to work. But of course, before we talk Kanga, Gravitas has sent us in a sick bit of content, so let's have a look.
Hi, my name is Kobe with Gravitas. Today, I'm going to be joined by some of our players, and they're going to be talking about what they think about the LCO split so far.
Hi, my name's Flop, current sub support for Gravitas.
Hey, I'm Nobody. I'm the top laner for Gravitas. I think the strongest team is Chiefs. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with for sure for all the teams.
I mean, the obvious answer is Chiefs and Peace because they're both undefeated, but I think Chiefs look better. I think Peace have like scraped some of their wins, specifically against, I think it was Order. So I think Kanga is actually winnable. Their bot lane looks quite weak right now.
Well, I think we can beat a few teams. I think any team can realistically win any game, but I think we're going to beat Mammoth next time we play.
100%.
I think that's got to happen.
I mean, Order and Pensinet are both 2-2, but they're just so much better than that. I think Order have looked pretty good. It's unfortunate that they lost both their games that they did.
I think Gravitas is saving for late game. I reckon the later it goes, the more wins will pick up. I'm not 100% sure where that will leave us, but I think everyone else is going to be pretty standard and stagnant. I don't think much is going to be changing around. I reckon it will stay pretty consistent. I don't think there's going to be too many upsets, and I think Gravitas will have a bit of a late season resurgence and get some wins on the board, maybe make playoffs.
Okay, it's only the first 2 weeks. Our roster is going to continuously get better. I have faith in our coaches. We will pick up a win. We will beat Mammoth next time round. I have faith.
Well, the Gravitas fans definitely need some hopium. I think we've been getting better every game on stage and every game in scrim, so if the trajectory keeps going like this, I reckon we'll be a good team and we'll definitely be making the top team sweat.
Always good to catch up with the players and hear their thoughts. So, you know, it didn't sound like they were very confident at being too far up the table, and they're looking for a late split resurgence is what I really got from that one. But of course, let's start to talk Kanga as well. This is a battle of two teams. Kanga, they haven't found too many W's just yet, but today is definitely one that is on a silver platter unless something goes wrong, right, Rusty?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the games where we'd be looking at Kanga and saying they should come in probably as the favourites, but right now, you know, 1-3 on the scoreline, a couple of extremely rough games. It's hard to place all of your faith in what we have seen from Kanga so far. We know that they're developing, we know that they've still got a long way to go in terms of those improvements, but I still look at the caliber of player on this team and have higher expectations than what they have been delivering. And I'm certain, right, with the experience and the tenure from a lot of the players on this team as individuals, that they would feel the exact same way. Liv was on the Chiefs. Lionel and Boma was an AD carry on the Chiefs, right? The playoff run of last year, Chiefs, in the LCO, only has been a very high-performing jungler for many years now, and Chungi was with Order, who made the big run split 2 of last year as well. So like there is a lot there, more than what we've been seeing from them so far, and I think it's just about bringing all of those pieces together, I suppose, and we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely more that we could see from this team, but I also heard from Little Birdie, I think Lemus is one of the players that we might be seeing pick up Zeri today. I heard that he was maybe playing a bit of that solo queue, so I wonder if we'll see that one sneak in, Skimmy.
Yeah, for sure. What I get told from Kitty as well, he's a bit of a proficient Draven too. It's like, these are champions that you would, maybe not the Zeri, but the Draven especially, like look to try and abuse the laning phase, right, and try and get a huge advantage of. And I think that's really where it starts, like the fundamentals of, you look at some of these team stats, you look at across the board for both Kanga and Gravitas, their players. A lot of them find themselves bottom 2 in a lot of those categories for, like, you know, gold difference, XP, CS difference, all by 10 minutes. So it starts off a little bit weak, and then it's a bit of a snowball effect. A lot of teams generate these huge leads by the 50-minute mark, and unless you get some crazy flip on a Baron, it's very hard to come back from. So if they can find either an identity around playing towards a particular player or a champion that fits the bill, then it could be a very different story.
Yeah, now well, let's have a quick look at the mid lane matchup, because Gravitas, their mid laner, has shown a lot of promise so far, Rusty, but he's up against Chungi, who's got a lot of experience.
Yeah, so fun fact about both of these players competing today as well, they both have 4 unique champions from their 4 games, and between them 7 unique champions total out of the 8 games that they've been a part of. So there is a whole spread of mid lane options going to be there for them. Dajung, as we noted very early on, does have a bit more of a killer instinct, but Chungi's unique champion pool and creativity are definitely some redeeming features for him. You know, might even consider picking up the Galio mid lane play towards the rest of his team very happily when you've got someone like Only running around in the jungle for you. So I've got my eyes on Chungi and seeing how he performs when someone like Dajung, who's obviously young, hungry, and trying to pressure everyone in mid, steps up to the plate and has a crack.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely going to be a highlight of this matchup. You know, Dajung has shown a lot of promise, although we did see a couple of potential ints last week where he go in alone, think someone was there with him, but it was just like you could tell that there was miscommunication, and he would limit test that little bit too hard and maybe give a kill away here or there. But for the most part, there's more of the good things than of the bad things that we've seen from him. So, potential is there. We've had a couple of chats with him in interviews as well, and in each interview you can see he is here to learn. He is here to get to improve as much as he can throughout this split, show what he's made of, and learn from the pros. Now, speaking of pros, Kitty is a pro, and she is fortunately part of the broadcast again. You're not just a pro on the Rift, you're also a pro interviewer, so who do you have for the pre-game, Kitty?
I've grabbed Lionel from Kanga and Gravitas, nobody on the side for the interview today. Hey guys, Lionel, how you feeling? It's been a while since our week 1 interview.
Yeah, pretty good. I think we've got an easier schedule this week, so we should be able to practice a little bit this week and get better at fundamentals going into the week after.
So we've seen you play quite a variety of champions since the role swap, ranging from enchanters to engaged supports. Do you see the game in a different perspective now, and if so, what type of perspective?
I'll be honest, we've sort of been trying everything. I don't want to reveal too much about what we think's strong or like what we're gonna pick, but I think just as a team across the first 4 games, we've been trying a lot of different picks and styles and haven't really set on one yet, and a lot of people have commented on that. So I think going into this week, we had a clear idea of what we wanted to do in the draft, and should reflect a bit in my pick as well.
It's always good to hear. And Nobody, welcome back to the LCO. It's your first game in the new split. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I feel good. I'm excited to play again. It's been a while, but I'm excited to get back on the Rift and give it another crack.
Well, we're all really excited for you to come back. And speaking of that, we've always seen you on those tanky frontline champions such as Aatrox, Shen, Ornn. With the current meta being a heavy mid-jungle focus, what do you think of the meta in top lane?
I think the top lane meta is pretty good right now. Like, a lot of my champions I think are quite good right now. I think low resource champs are still fine to play, and I think when it comes to team fights I can be extremely useful even when I'm playing these champs that really don't get a whole lot of attention, so I think my champ pool is fine right now.
Well, we have seen Janna being picked in LCO, so I'm excited to see what top lane has in store for us. But Lionel, I just spoke to Lived last week, and he said that you guys are still trying to find your team identity. What are we going to expect out of Kanga from week 3?
I think we have a lot of options because our players play a lot of different champions. I think it's more a case of just getting everyone's different ideas about the game together, in one mind. So that's sort of what we've been slowly chipping away at every week, and hopefully this week we'll have a better showing compared to the first 2.
Well, good luck to Kanga for tonight's match. And last question for Nobody. So Gravitas is known for having 4 top laners. So what do you bring to the team, and what separates you as a player?
Yes, we do have 4 top laners, so a lot of competition. I think our champion pools across the players is different, so that's obviously beneficial, I guess. And if you had 4 players of the same thing, it wouldn't be very useful. Not much point in that. So I think there's some merit to playing it. I think I'm a bit more experienced than the other players because I've actually been behind the scenes for a couple of years now. So I think I bring some knowledge to the table, and I think that's the main difference. I think all the players are good.
Well, from the video you guys just showed us, Gravitas is a late game game scaling team. You guys are gonna grab some wins and make it to playoffs. Best of luck, and with that, that's it. We're gonna wrap up the interview. Thank you guys, and good luck in your match.
Yeah.
They're both so polite. Coming out of last week's interviews with Praedyth, where he's just going ham, going hard, and then you just got 2 of the nicest gentlemen in the league. Just yeah, we're gonna have a good day. Hopefully we get the win. It is just all positivity. I love to see it. Now, Are we staying positive? That's the question. We have the predictions ready, and we're going to have a quick look at them to see who's gone for who here. I feel like Gravitas could be in this one. Is this where it's going to happen? I know I keep harping on I am Only's biggest fan, but other than that, the rest of the troops haven't been looking as good on paper. The chemistry hasn't been there. But look, Gravitas, they've also got a new lineup, and I did make this prediction before I saw that they had a couple of things going on. Skimmy, what have you gone for Kanga?
I think I've just gone for the experience as a whole. I mean, like, yeah, sure, nobody brings in a lot of that experience, but Kanga as a collective will have a lot more. They should really be looking at this and saying this should be a 2-0 week. You take it on Gravitas, you take it on Mammoth tomorrow. Yes, Mammoth would look a lot stronger, but I think to use Rusty's term, it's a litmus test, right? You've been bodied by the top teams, but now you need to show us how good you are against the bottom teams. And it was a bit of a shaky win against Direwolves, but they got the win. So you're looking at this one, and you'd need to see a repeat performance and some much-needed wins in that regard.
Yeah, you're looking for something much more convincing. Kitty, let's go down to the end. Why have you gone for Kanga?
We've given them 2 weeks to build that team identity. I'm going to expect Kanga to step up and start grabbing some wins because they are filled with very experienced players. So that's why I've chosen Kanga for tonight. If Gravitas wins, I'm not going to be surprised, but yeah.
So I mentioned it before on the desk before we brought you in. You mentioned that Lemus had been playing a little bit of Zeri. Do you think we're going to see that slip through in the veto?
I'm pretty sure Zeri is going to get banned because this is pre-nerf Zeri where you can build Hurricane, and that's absolutely busted. So hopefully we get a Zeri game, but I'm going to assume we're not going to see one today.
Okay, well maybe it's not going to slide through in Champ Select. Now, I feel like if Gravitas have a chance, you're going to be looking at mid. We're going to be hoping that there's some kind of power coming through. But I have heard Champ Select is ready. Game is live, ready to go. Game number 1 of the week. Let's see how it unfolds.
Oh dear, here we go. Week number 3 then. We're going to start off strong here and get to see where these teams do in fact go. Gravitas still searching for that very first victory, and Kanga hunting for one more here, Rusty.
And just a quick fact for everybody as well, looking at the Kanga scoreline of 1 and 3. 3 of their last 4 games were against Chiefs, Order, and Pensanet.gg. So it goes without saying that they've had a very difficult start to the season. This is going to be one of their first games actually against the perceived bottom of the table. And the Direwolves game they did win was their 4th in there. So coming into this draft phase, Skimmy, we do have a lot of new things to look out for, obviously. We're going to be keeping our eyes peeled for how much of an NA fan both of these teams are. We'll be doing this all day to see where their enchanters will go, if there will be enchanters at all. Corki is also another champion that I wanted to keep my eyes on, Skimmy, as the day progressed. It should be 100% banned, please, so we can all experience real League of Legends. It's going to be the biggest one, and then Zeri, like you mentioned just then.
Yeah, Zeri pretty strong, and certainly some very strong partnerships you can look to try and unlock that champion in the early mid. You've seen it before. Obviously a lot of discussion around what the best build is for that one, but we can obviously deep dive if the champ does show up here today. Waiting for the final ban here from Kanga. So far so good. Corki gone. Caitlyn taken away as well, and what you'd have to imagine is respect denial on the Zoe towards Dejong.
Yeah, Zoe's an odd ban. I mean, a lot of the time, if somebody just can play Yone, Zoe tends to get nullified. But Chungi may not be preferential to that as a champion pick. Zeri now obviously going to be left open. And let's just say that the Enchanter floodgate has opened. We have seen, I believe, 11 Zeri picks globally as of before this game. And 10 of them were AD, 1 was top. So expectations are that it is going to be an AD carry Zeri based off what we've been seeing around the world so far.
Yeah.
But still, I think it adds to the fact that it can be considered flexible. If you go for the standard, I'm going to blind pick on, what are you going to do about it? Zeri says, thank you. I have a free lane and we can flex AD.
And to that point, one of the most popular matchups into it has been a Aphelios, so it's not going to be any surprise there. Lulu's going to be picked up. Could have gone for the Fresh, still available. Have opted for the Enchanter match. Perhaps a denial as well, because Yuumi is definitely at the top of the table. This two in tandem, a little bit too strong. The Soraka, very valid, is being hovered. If you did watch the LCS games, you would have seen C9 play that in the mid lane. And
yeah, but they also saw there was a Victor Skimmy to counter into.
Well,
so
they just don't care, Rusty. They're going to hover it. They're going to bait us all. They just say, you know what? We're all in on our bot lane.
Should be a jungler in reality. Three-peat jungle here would make the most sense. Instead, they're going to pick the Ornn and show that it's not going to be a Zeri top lane.
Okay.
And Lived, realistically, what's to stop a Camille pick? You know, what's to stop him from saying, why did you do this?
Yeah.
Lived has such an expansive champion pool. He can play carries. He can Mordekaiser you, man. It's a big risk in my eyes. Because, like, that could have been a Viego, right? That could have been a jungle champion with Jarvan gone. There's still plenty of options. Lee Sin on the board. I don't think there's any harm in picking one of those picks. And instead, we had a very odd draft.
But I do like this. I like this Twisted Fate pick so much. I've been begging to see this come out of Chang'e in such a long time. His stats aren't too pretty right now. He's played 4 unique champions, as you mentioned. But this will just give them that early game agency that they need, right? Your pass is going to kick in, extra goal, but more so than anything, the ultimate. There's division, there's the contest. Yeah. I'm not only winning myself, but we're winning elsewhere on the map. This should do wonders to alleviating these early game woes.
And I do like the TF pick in reality, right? 3-pick your mid laner into 2 mid lane champion bans to get rid of some of the counters if you have to. You've already seen that the Ornn is going to be revealed, so you know that there's no flexibility there in a 3rd pick or anything of the like. Sylas is obviously one of the bans in response to the Twisted Fate. Sylas can basically be Twisted Fate with the ult steal. You can get rid of something super aggressive if you wanted, like the Kassadin type of champions. Just because Kassadin can start to pressure you really hard and you won't have any side lane threat. You consider something like the Tryndamere as well if you're afraid of it. But it looks like, based off Gravitas' pick bans so far, unless they go for like the Yasuo Diana comp with mid jungle, there's probably got to be some magic damage through mid.
Seem to be that way. Laughing at the fact Hecarim has been removed. There's Zeus back into the roster. No foreigner here today. And the Hecarim is certainly a champion that he loves to play, so not going to be allowed to showcase what he can do on that one. Played also a bit of a bit part role late last year, sharing the jungle position with Akano. So 2 familiar faces of 2021. Looking to add some much needed experience. Hopefully that can help out in the shot calling department. Get them to steady the hand that they do need. Gravitas, as you will see though, will miss bans 4 and 5 due to that late sub on the roster. So they're going to have to be content here with the free bans that they do have and hope that Kanga don't get Exodia.
You're certainly not banning anything that deals well with a Ornn, you know, like the Camille that we mentioned. So it's funny, we spoke about the possibility of the Camille lock-in into the 4-5 bans, but because Gravitas don't actually have access to them, Twisted Fate, ban 2 champions you'd want regardless and still have the free Camille option. I mean, you're pretty happy with this one so far if you're Kanga. Note that the Jarvan is gone. There's Nocturne Fiddles all over again.
It's just an unlock. It's just an instant pick. No consideration. The coach says one thing, he says the other. So Nocturne's there. Galio's been paired with it. You could say in some part this is to respect the matching of a Twisted Fate, but I tell you what, you switch the lights off, you need to one-shot someone.
Yeah, it also would have been a blind jungler. So actually, again, I bring this back to Kanga's draft. I'm pretty happy with what I've seen from them. When you see the Zeri Yuumi, one of the other options for Yuumi is when Zeri's side laning, you have a really strong jungler to work with you, right? Like a Kiana. Something that can just kind of add extra damage to that assassin champion that will let you one-hit those laners while your Zeri is scaling up. But because it's blind, I think they went for a Nocturne who fits the comp, right? Nocturne Galio with Ornn ultimates, they're able to get into the fray and it can still do a lot of high burst. It's just not going to be the, let's just say, the more standard thought of champions, such as the Kiana or even the Zed potentially.
Certainly won't be, but it's the same patch, 12-2. Zeri is enabled, but a lot of different champions are being shown here. Much in part, I'm sure, to some of the discussion around what is meta in solo queue. Even though there is one patch ahead, it's starting to be felt in the competitive circuit, and you have to wonder, you know, coming into a game like this, what was going to be the ace up these teams' sleeve to try and find the advantage. I'm glad that we're going back to globals, first of all. Looking to try and play to the side lanes. And, I mean, this is the discussion that we had. I'm sure we're going to find out as the day progresses, even the week progresses, with the threat of the Smite top lanes and the double enchanters, whether or not teams with the better bot lane are going to win. All the investment thrown towards them. Certainly a case to be made here as well. As Zeri and an Aphelios, 2 of the best champions, looking to try and skirmish and fight with tools allowing them to be unlocked in that fashion.
Yeah, certainly going to be a lot of pressure towards these bottom laners if enchanters are the way to go, but at the same time, we've got some carries in top. We've got some roaming mid laners, but we do have carries in the jungle as well. In this particular game, Skimmy, my eyes always go towards the top lane just a little bit more. Lived on his Camille, someone that I actually really want to see a bit more from than what we have in the past 2 weeks. Only's got a lot on his plate, but can absolutely put in some serious work with the Viego pick. Chungy's going to be playing towards him, as you would expect Chungy to do. And then Limas and Piglet, the 2 big names. With the Lulu protecting the Aphelios, the standard, like you've said, as a response to the Zeri. But the Zoomy bot lane on the other side just going to be going everywhere at lightning speeds.
Certainly is. And it's going to be a chance here for these teams to showcase their proficiency both in the laning phase, but those map rotations, those for me are going to be absolutely paramount as we load into the Rift here for game 1 of week number 3. A chance for both of these teams to showcase their form, 2 weeks of prep and performance that is soon to be unleashed. Let's load into the game and get ourselves ready.
30 seconds until
Hey, they're
minions
color matching.
spawn.
Is the entire game pink color matched? I know that's a big tangent, but
I've done that back in the day. You know, if the whole team's looking the same, you feel a little bit better. We'll have to wait and see. No doubt, whilst they get themselves prepped for the game, let's check in with our coach interview. Let's bring back in Sypnab, the coach of Gravitas, onto the stream. Welcome back, mate. How you feeling?
Thank you for having me. I'm feeling pretty good today.
That's really good to hear. I want to ask, you know, you've obviously brought in a couple of new faces here today, returning faces in that regard. So the team is still searching for that first win of the split. So I suppose apart from the obvious, which is experience, what will these two be looking to bring?
Yeah, particularly with nobody coming in, we're looking to, as you said, bring a bit of that experience, but also bring a bit more communication, sort of a bit more steady play. And Azus sort of came in clutch today. We had some internet troubles with Foreigner, so he luckily was able to step up and come in for a last minute. That's why we ended up, unfortunately, losing the 2 bans.
Yeah, I suppose on a quick tangent, just to add to that, how does it really feel then, looking at this draft? Are you happy with what you've got despite losing those bans?
Yeah, we're pretty happy. That was the thing we were going for, because it was, you know, been a mad scramble for the last like 2 hours trying to get everyone together and find out who we could actually get in time and that sort of thing. Make sure everything's working. But yeah, we're pretty happy with what we got. It's pretty plain and simple. Go forwards and kill off the affiliate.
Sounds as easy as that. Well, I appreciate your time as always. Wish you boys the best of luck, and we'll jump on in.
Thank you very much.
Let's see then if it will be as simple as that, because I do like a composition that is coined simple, but certainly has ultimates that say we're going forward, we're finding a kill, let's go.
yeah, I mean, you could call it simple. I would say putting a Galio and an Ornn in a team does simplify things. Having a Galio with a Nocturne ultimate as well, right? Someone that can get straight into the mix of things does help as well. Being able to turn the lights off definitely increases the ease of access to those team fights. Also helps your team out a lot if you're even just using it to turn the lights out for the sake of protecting. But they've got an Ornn into a Camille. It's not the easiest matchup. Camille can definitely run away with that one if they don't protect the Ornn. Viego resets are always going to be a significant risk. Aphelios, I would say, is the best in role AD at the moment. Jinx obviously super high priority. And Zeri we haven't seen much of yet, but you got to keep your eyes peeled for what Aphelios can do as a scaling mage, and has that enchanter still there.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of risks to deal with on the other side. And then the Twisted Fate, Not only is it a Camille that can handle the Ornn, the weak side blind-picked Ornn, it's a Twisted Fate that can go up there and pressure the Ignite teleport Camille matchup. So there is incredibly high risk for nobody. And this is already the beginnings of a very difficult laning phase for him if this wave is safely built up into Liv's hands.
I'm glad you brought it up though with the combat summoners, right? Because it's a case to be made that this is how explosive things have been and showcased before. And I'm very curious to see then how Gravitas will respond to this one. If Zeus is actually going to give nobody a lot of pressure by popping his head in, as you can see right now. Obviously, top side of the jungle is completely cleared out, so he's going to show face and not reveal himself. He's just going to have to reset back to base again, but once level 6 comes online for sure, nowhere on this map will be safe.
Yeah, didn't wait for the Krugs, actually just walked top to really ensure the crash of that minion wave, trying to stop Lived from perhaps freezing it, and saying that the freeze was kind of kept. And Lived was never really looking to fight for it. There wasn't even a bait there from nobody, right? They just kind of let it all happen and simmer out. So it's pretty clear their intent was, above all else, to just try and get that crash in, but the crash failed. They didn't contest the wave, and now only gets to walk up here, and nobody no longer exists. They have a ward showing where that Nocturne is. The ward just died, but they knew where the Nocturne was at the Gromp. Hear the ping straight on top of his noggin.
Yeah,
The freeze remains.
Yeah, Liv's got it held in such a good spot right now, doesn't he? Trying to build up the lead that you highlight, up by 10 so far, and it's going to take a gank to come up here to try and help it. We'll slowly push, but it's going to get to a point once level 6 is dead that you're just all in and crashing and you're denying so much.
Exactly, right? We're going to hit probably at the point that this crashes onto Ornn's turret. You would expect level 6 from the TF, the Viego. Unfortunately, wouldn't be on the top side of the map, though, so I don't think we'll get any big plays from it. But it's an example of what's possible, right? Often top lane waves just build and crash. I know we've been talking about top lane a lot, but the most exciting thing about this lane is that there's actually 2 champions in it, guys. There's no Janna currently roaming the lands. So we have to savor it while it exists.
It just reminds me of that picture that you showed me, top lane meta in 2022, and it's just a blank top lane. Nobody's there.
Yeah, as you can see, like there was a world where if they were pathing towards top side, you pressure nobody off the turret by bringing the Twisted Fate up, bringing a 3-man dive, but teleports are a bit worse, so not always as easy to do. The Zeus bot side, however.
Zeus has a bit of an inside track here on towards Lionel, who does have the flash. Gonna flash when the fear came out.
What was he doing there?
Soaking experience very aggressively, but it feels like a bit of a wasted flash.
Yeah, just from the looks of it, he was sitting forward in a bush past where some vision was placed by Gravitas, actually just soaking experience. Dajung.
Yeah, Dajun could be in trouble, but he's going to jump on through, looking to try and take down these 2 members. Here comes the Zeus, looking to try and balance the books, but he doesn't have Paranoia just yet. Neither does Only for his ultimate. Another flash burn provoked here from Gravitas. And the Dragon continues to taunt them.
Chungy did everything possible wrong, Skimmy.
Oh no.
He definitely just ulted in without a card ready and then red carded the Galio. Had to flash away. Very shaky start to this one. First play, it was proactive. I liked the move, right? Overall, you see the Galio mispositioned. You have to take those opportunities when they exist and they recognize it. But unfortunately, it wasn't as good as it could have been, and nothing massive will come from it other than the wave push in and a reset. Still a good reset, however. Timing was right, but yes. When you've got your Merc Treads rush, you won't have as much damage, and I think that stun was of necessity to Dajung, and they don't even get his flash, Skimmy.
Yeah, it hurts. It really does hurt. I suppose the saving grace at this stage is you are looking at some significant CS leads to be found, primarily in the top lane, but slowly building up here in the mid lane. That is reflective of a 1k gold lead already in Kanga's hands, but it feels like the curse, right? We always talk about it. Sounds like a bit of a broken record. The first Destiny, you want it to have an impact, and yeah, it didn't.
And again, you can see the waves building and crashing. That's pretty much going to continue to happen in top lane unless someone forces it to kind of reset back to even. The CS will be caught up a little bit more from nobody. He's in an advantageous position where he doesn't have to teleport back. He can just build items while in lane. Helps a lot. And I don't think there's any real threat of a dive unless Lived is going to poke him down fire and force some trades. And nobody not willing to engage on the map. Gravitas going to be playing on the opposite side, as you can see right now. They're going to go for the Drake. And as Only was top, is reset towards his blue side of the map. No contest, though he's on the right side.
Here we go, though, getting a chance to sort of see the mobility that comes on through. 2 members flying towards the bot lane. The lights go out. Unfortunately, it's Entrust that picks up the first blood, but they find one. They're going to find a second. And they just got everything they needed.
And it's right in the face of the jungler of Kanga as well. They know that he's in the nearby area, and he's just going to come and collect the wave. Chungy will get a plate mid, doesn't have ult, doesn't have teleport. Lived used his ult and ignite top lane just quietly and is dead. And I think it was because Dajun got up there to help him. So there's going to be a lot that all kind of happens at once here, Skimmy. And all of it favors Gravitas.
Yeah.
From top to toe. We'll see what happens. You know, Liv commits to the fight, makes the play in response to nobody engaging. But he engages when he doesn't have a Twisted Fate to assist him. Uses the Ignite looking for the 1v1. You forget about mid lane for 1 second. The Galio is right on your face. Liv gets punished. Gravitas actually doing very well.
It just seems huge to me, the fact that you're making a cross-map play and you're winning on 2 fronts, right? You're utilizing the Nocturne ult and getting infinite value out of it. The fact that you've just made nobody's life that much easier. Sure, still down in CS, but it feels a little bit illegal.
Yeah, I mean, the Nocturne ultimate actually had an effect on top, right? I would imagine in Liv's mind, the call was, Nocturne is bottom. That's probably what he heard while the darkness was on his screen. He's like, well, what is this illegal top laner doing engaging on me? And just forgot about the Galio who came up to help. Surprise. But yeah, the bottom dive is actually the biggest talking point there. That was super clean from Gravitas.
Yeah.
Nice little angle from Azus as well, and the fact that it only was there, unable to do anything, is a big win.
He'll answer back only now by picking up the Herald, so be looking for the best position to place that to try and claw back. But as it stands, Gravitas very content with how things are playing towards his bot side. Azus is roaming around looking to clear out some vision. He's going mid right now. Only might be looking for a very early deployment, if not a gank at the very least. Charging up the stun, going to connect. The wave isn't there just yet. Just going to hit the ultimate. Might just take him out on his own.
A nice dive from Only. Was it necessary when he did it? I think the answer is probably. Just because there was the risk of this Galio, of the Nocturne being nearby. So take no chances, take the opportunity when it exists. The tragedy for Chungy and for Lived is that they don't really get to play much of a part in it. The dive was ideally going to happen when the minions were there, but they get to cheat that tempo a little bit. So well done to Kanga. Of course, Galio shows top. Nocturne goes into the enemy jungle. This is just a 2v2.
Oh, he's out of range. He's going to get the Whimsy.
Speed up.
Can he get him? They need vision. The ward needs to go down. A very late ward. Final chapter comes across, and that's the disengage tool that they need. And you're thinking, Rusty, surely, red, white, you want to fight.
How do you fight someone that just runs away? They're on.
Oh no, the lightning crash is there. And now Piglet is going to run them down. Or is he going to feign it? Disengaging away. Can he keep the burst fire active? I think the ult's already expired, so no movement speed fun here today. But he's teasing.
So much pressure onto Lionel, however. If you remember the flash being burned earlier, the second his flash comes up and available again, it's gone. They're constantly fighting. They're abusing the fact that Zeri and Yuumi are so powerful as a 2v2. And they're holding the wave. Azus hovering to make sure this freeze happens. Only coming down didn't have his own ultimate, right? So there wasn't actually going to be the kill threat there. He was just protecting his team. An odd amount of just protecting, an odd amount of things just being responsive, where generally Piglet and Trust are doing so much work in just the 2v2 that they're bringing this pressure down.
And they find themselves at a huge lead now, as you can see. Up just about 30 CS, which feels very, very nice. Once that trading force is complete, you're starting to feel very content with yourself, scaling quite nicely. Runans, Order Titanic, whatever it might be for the AoE on hit cleave, and you are away and laughing. And here we go again. It's Deja Vu, bot lane, on towards the carry. Ian just left him.
I think Azus also just straight up went in and Trust couldn't get onto him in time. It was just the two men. Lemus is gone. Lionel not able to get there in time. Always reset together, Skimmy. That's the lesson for bottom lane here. They get punished. It is now 4-1. This looks like a completely different Gravitas with Azus and nobody playing. That experience meaning a lot.
Well, he is going to summon the Call of the Forge Guard top to try and trim the wave. Not going to do too much, but at least he's going to deter them, buy some more time as Gravitas make their own play once again towards the bottom side. They're going to pick up a complete turret, or at least all the plates. They're going to play for their second Drake too. The question now becomes, can Kanga answer back top side? They try and disengage away. The Hextech Ultimatum, the Destiny, the Collapse, the 1v3. And a flash away afterwards. That's quite nice. Baits out Deja. And they're out of there.
Yeah, you can see Predator used. Only's just going to use the ultimate reset and the flash. He gets out perfectly fine. Chungy with the first real Twisted Fate ultimate that was super successful from them. So much faster than Dajun getting onto the map. And that's the proactivity, right, from Kanga that we're wanting to see from the Viego, from the Twisted Fate actually working together. So 14 minutes into this one, plates drop, and that was really the moment that Kanga take their first big move. a lot lacking from the bottom lane so far. Perhaps unfamiliar with the Zoomy combo down here, but it's a gross combo. That's all you really need to know. And they're definitely out skirmishing the Aphelios Lulu, who you would say are happy scaling. And this Nocturne pressure though, Skimmy, most Nocturne games always come down to what that first ult can provide. If you get a Nocturne that is successful with that first ultimate, they tend to be very scary for the second one. Because the second one was a success, he's a nightmare. That will continue.
Yeah, literally. And you're finding it now that a lot of gold is in all the right places. Sure, nobody's KDA doesn't look too pretty at this stage, but he'll be quite happy. I feel like he fills a very similar role to what Tyron brought in the fact of you're just going to be picking a scaling champion, something that provides a little bit of utility to the team. Ornaments, obviously, a staple, but they're going to be very content with how things are working out right now. Still very much glued on this Zeri, the first one here in the LCO. Need to see just how strong it can become, especially if Zeus continues to hover around in the area.
So Summoner spell check generally is the way that teams will want to make their plays. You've got Lived, you've got Only now working towards mid-side. Nobody's the one without Flash, however. They might want to try and catch someone on rotation to protecting top, but 100% nobody's currently the person most illegally positioned. Needs to show some respect, and you can see, of course, being very passive in the way that he's playing. Gravitas on the other side. They knew that Lionel didn't have Flash, but it's just about to come back up. And instead of staying down here and taking the gamble, Kanga have said, we're actually just going to group mid, where it is safe, where we know that we're not going to get Nocturne ulted. And it was a full map move from Kanga for some pressure, but they lose a turret from it.
We'll lose the turret for it. Oh. They are finding pressure elsewhere on the map. Here's the Destiny. Deja Vu once again. The three-man collapse, you're gone. And the Nocturne ult just a little too late. Lived, very lucky to still be alive. A play tried to happen mid to answer back, but they will not find it.
Yeah, the ultimate was used mid, the Yuumi working with Azu, something that we spoke about from the draft, right? A bit of extra damage helps that one-hit threat. But it's the Stridebreaker Bruiser build. See how they continue to play this one, because the pressure was enough. Teleport's coming in, actually.
Yeah, Lemus says everything. Turret's gone. If they waited too long, they're buying too much time. I'm trying to bait out Lemus here. He can turn around, and Zeus has no mana. One flash away, Yuumi jumps in. Piglet has been griefed by the blast cone, or has he? We're going to find out in a second. He's got the dash away, and the Moonlight Vigil will not connect. Another TP, make it two, coming on through. Hextech ultimate him, and Liv says, I'm out of here. That's not the fight arm afterwards. Oh, the flash forwards! And now Dejan's going to lock in place two. No, one stasis, and that's Lived out. He doesn't have an ult, and he doesn't have a flash. Piglet turns it around. It is a long con in the mid lane. And Chungy has no flanking angle to play around.
Just waiting for cooldowns, right? Waiting for resets, wanting to get those teleports off, and finally when Gravitas get to the play, Piglet and Entrust are unkillable by a hair's breadth, Skimmy. That Camille hookshot was so close to connecting to the Yuumi as she was dashing towards Zeri. At this point, and we'll see it again in this replay, from that moment, they actually are winning Gravitas, right? They've got the exhaust, they've got the ability. Like, that was absurdly close. But nevertheless, what looks like a bait only gets in. The W misses, the stun doesn't connect. Piglet is a disgusting champion that can jump over a million walls. Impossible to catch. Teleports come in, two flanks there. Lived with no choice but to just run away. And they will continue to flash forwards and try and secure him. It will be successful after a long time. But overall, the play is massively successful for Gravitas when it's Kanga that started.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to say, is the fact that they must feel so frustrated having the inline track, it would have seemed like, with the first deploy on those TPs, not to find their kills, not to really find themselves with a snowballing lead. They do still, bear in mind, have a gold lead, and a lot of that has to come down to these CS advantages.
Yeah, so much of it is actually in mid and jungle. Twisted Fate having his passive that gives him extra gold per last hit is a head in farm mid, so generally is not just ahead in overall gold. His passive accelerates that even harder. Has got two completed items to one. Piglet.
Here we go, Liv jumping in once again. Piglet with a one-man ult, turn things around, go golden into Deja. But look at Liv on the side, he has no flash, he has no dash, he's dead, he's gone. Now looking for a second kill, straight on towards another target. Now, Chungy's turn to go gold, and Lemus turns around. He has no lifesteal, the Moonlight Vigil was not enough. It's a double kill for Piglet.
Such a massive force from Kanga. I feel like I was talking casually because you weren't expecting that ultimate to come out of Liv. You weren't expecting the hard engage to be there. Dyer's, I'm guessing Ignite wasn't even available at the start of that fight. Cleanse was ready for Piglet the entire time. So Twisted Fate combos are not enough. That was messy from Kanga, to say the least. I like that they're being active, right? I like that they're looking for these opportunities. But the hook shot misses. Plain and simple, the fight has to be committed to. Cleanse comes in, Piglet's on, fights on. No one else is at risk of dying on the side of Gravitas. And Nocturne hits the combo with the Galio coming in, creates space, and that's all Piglet needs, right? That's all Zeri needs. You give her space, she'll run away with the fight.
She loves those prolonged fights, absolutely. And I know it's obviously early days, but it feels almost a little bit reminiscent to some of these games we saw at the Corki, right? The package goes on through, you're just looking to try and concede. Feels like, especially if we're going to have more of these dances towards the objective, Zeri's like, well, I'm keen. I want the uptime. There's the dash reset. There's the ultimate uptime. There's the fight. It's scaling. There's the Runans, and there are the makings of the Tiamat evolution, which just gives you insane snowballing effect. And just like that, they've now found themselves bounties on their own heads.
Yeah, every single individual hit from her Q auto attack, as you can see, is blocking the Tiamat. It's very gross. And let alone the Runans, of course. This is pre-fix, is going to be doing crazy work. Constantly dashing everywhere with these item completions, right? It's going to be a very standout feature. And super high damage even without a crit build, which is your non-standard for ADCs. Trust fails that water.
Yeah.
One thing worth noting, as we're seeing it now for really the first time in a few minutes, is that Kanga kind of abandoned their split push win condition. But they're doing it again now.
They are really bullying nobody. Welcome back to the LCO. It's your fourth game. It's your fourth death. Kanga are farming him.
But can I ask the question, Skimmy, why'd they stop? They were 60-odd CS ahead in top lane matchups. Yes, they were losing bottom and they wanted to do something for it, but like realistically with the Zera Yuumi this far ahead and a Galio Nocturne comp to protect it, you want the Camille to be overwhelmingly strong. They still need 3 people to deal with that one because Lived is now 0-3. They get the kill, but now the trades start to go really heavily towards at least being matched mid.
Lights go out, the Gale Force nice and early. He has no flash, he has the cleanse, he's feared a wild growth to turn around the retaliation attempt. There's the Predator, and in comes Dacian, separated from the rest of his team, but a Proto forward. He's going to try and do it all on his own. But here comes the hunt, the prowling projectile. It's not an AP Yuumi, but it'll do just enough. One Justice Punch to the heads, and Lemus is 0-4.
And there's 2 minutes and 20 seconds until the Drake, so what's to stop Gravitas from just walking through mid lane and in the face of Kanga going for the Baron? Only is still alive, he's still on the board, still has the smite, but they've already got the vision set up on this side of the map. That's how they found the angle in mid. All they need is a sweeper or control ward into the Baron pit itself. If the Yuumi is willing to place that one, and they will be fine.
What tools do they have to try and retake this? Chungy right now cycling through the spell book. He's got an exhaust. Flank on the top side. Ran the tri-bush. Working up the gold card. Goes on through, but only really disengaged away. He's far too low. Hits the smite. Gets some health back. In jumps Lived. 1v4 on his own. There's no follow-up. The light goes out. They split their attention. Zeus says, actually, I've got other ideas in mind. He goes top side. Called it a Forge Guard. Couple that with the zap. And there's just no way you can disengage away. Kanga being run down. The flash forward, a 2-man tool, but Liv just got away. Lionel will finally die. And Gravitas are front to back out of their mind.
This game is even in gold still, but there's no shot that Kanga are going to win a team fight. They're not utilizing side lane pressure. They look for the engages because of the pressure that was exerted by Gravitas at Baron. Their options are starting to be limited, and that's the thing, right? We're at a point in this game where Gravitas are so in the driver's seat that strategic diversity no longer really exists for Kanga. They have to try and play for something other than a 5v5 fight, because you can see what happens. This wasn't even perfect from Gravitas by any means. Piglet misses the ultimate almost there. I think he just barely scrapes it in, uses the cleanse super early. But they're still able to just body out Kanga. Any shot of winning these fights disappear. Ornn ultimate comes in, you got the flash taunt as well from Dajung towards the back half of this one. And it's just space, right? It's just purchasing space and distance for Piglet to work, and there's nothing else that Azeri could ask for. Kanga floundering.
It's only searching for answers right now. The fact that only was caught in the tri-bush and just one combo, one taunt alone from the Galio was enough to take him to half, to flash to ult, to try and run away, but still caught on vision all the same. He's 4-0. He has a lot of shutdown gold that could fool He needs to live, he needs to find a pick, and they may have just found it. Oh, Dejan just managed to walk away. He has now been locked in place. Nobody is here, but they're going to get pincered on. Piglet in the river, waiting for Yumi to couple towards him, but it's on the Zeus right now, and it is going to find another kill. Lulu's gone. And Gravitas really are grouped as 5 and just taking any target in their stride. They found a second. Now Piglet has 4 kills to his name. A blast cone away. And Gravitas might say, we don't need to worry. They've got a Dragon Soul, they've got a Baron, they've got it all.
I mean, it's everything that they could possibly want. With this Soul confirmed as well, it is almost just lights out for Kanga through the rest of this game. Continuing to try and take these 5v5s, right? We spoke about this before, but the pressure became less and less and less. They have a 4-0 Viego, but there's absolutely nothing that he's really able to provide currently because he needs the setup of the Camille ultimate or the Twisted Fate ultimate. Their win conditions are starting to disappear. They'll try again, right? Liv just has to play like a psychopath. There's genuinely, if they want to engage fights, it needs a legitimate psychopath Camille angle. They keep doing it, I will add. Now they just don't have choices. Chungy with a good flash, but at the same time a wall exists, and so Zeri will find you. And that's it. Fights are just that simple now, Skimmy.
You want to say they're getting wallet slapped, but it's only a 2k lead, but it just feels so much more than right now. It's just so strong in all the right places. And how do they really look to try and bully their way back into this river to contest and even get an idea if Baron is on the menu?
I just don't know if Kanga's bottom lane knows how to deal with the Zeri Yumi, or if they understand perhaps how to play with their composition. Piglet needs to respect. A turret is one hit away from dying. It's very difficult to staunch.
Liv's going to jump on through. The turret's going to fall on down. There's an objective bounty. Finally throwing that kill. Only now becomes the Zeri. What can he do? He's 5-0 so far. 2 kills answer back. Chungy and Lionel down. The supportive faction of Gravitas is doing what they can to find kills, to find revenge, and to answer back for the Zeri death. First one off the game. Entrust is fed. How on earth is this Yumi so strong? They've got it all once again.
Yeah, that's with their AD carry very mispositioned trying to defend a turret. It creates an angle for a Zeus to go in. Yumi works with the Nocturne regardless, and they will basically win a 4v5. Lots used still, I will say, to kill that Zeri. Liv now going to have a crack. We'll see if he can truly channel psychopath vibes. Only does have smite, does have flash. No ultimate. So if he wants to get into the pit, the blast cone would be what he's after. Teleports are coming.
Yep, they're gearing up for it. It's getting lower by the second, down to 2400. Smite range is soon to be there. Goes on into the pit, goes for it! He's stolen it! And he's out for scot-free. An objective bounty, a Baron denial, and perhaps a light at the end of the tunnel here.
Only's doing everything he can, Skibby. There is a 5-0, 650 gold shutdown Viego just tearing up Summoner's Rift for Kanga Esports. But the rest of his team has a 0 scoreline next to their name. They are absolutely struggling to get it done. And one man into a full Infernal Soul team that's scaling nicely. I don't know if it'll be enough, but from, 60 odd HP, the smite comes in. The flash we spoke about before will get them out.
If there was ever a time for a competitive pause, a quick chance to speak to your team, pull up your socks, strap your boots. Come on, boys. I'm incredibly fed as this Viego. I have 3 completed items. Yes, our stopwatches have been burnt. We've made the play. There is a chance. Can we perhaps stall out for what will be only the 2nd Elder so far of this split of the LCO?
But that's it, right? Like, you kind of have to burger flip the Elder if you want a shot now. Your opponent's having an Infernal Soul. They wanted to sit here and dwindle your health bar down. Galio, a champion that does do solid damage with a full AP build, but tends to be on the weaker side of damage output, now has a soul. Yumi, whose Q is super annoying, now does meaningful damage, and that kind of goes across the board as well. Ornn gets a little bit more fighting power where the Camille should be able to side lane. But it's not the lifesteal build from the Camille for Liv, it is more the team fight with the Titanic Hydra.
Here we go. They turn the on switch. Only thinks he's the one jumping forward, but actually they're going to get collapsed upon. It's a trap. Chungy not going to get hit by the Ornn charge, but it does not matter. As Zeus, a double kill. The perfect homecoming for 2022.
Dodging with the Predator is hunting. He's trying to find someone, but let me pose the question to you this way, Skimmy, because it doesn't feel like a trap when Twisted Fate gives you God vision. It feels like you've willingly chosen to die. And that's kind of the vibe that I copped from that one. It seems like Kanga, with their backs against the wall, said we will fight our way out. We have no choice. They try and make like Leonidas, but they actually just fall flat on their face. The Nocturne ready to counter.
There's no real pretty way to paint it.
No, but like you have to use your Viego, right? There's only really one person on this team that is meaningfully strong right now.
That's it.
And they keep making fights around the Camille.
Only 5 kills in this game, and they're all in the hands of your jungler. Hasn't really played a carry role so far this split. But certainly needs to find himself in a position as to what do I need to do. Everything now goes into hitting that smite key one more time. Up in 40 seconds. An Elder flip that could keep Kanga in this game.
Actually buying access to the Elder Pit is going to be pretty difficult though. You're walking into a Nocturne, you're walking into a Galio. Ornn loves it as well. Liv gets caught.
Liv, hook shot away, lights go out. On vision as well, it's beautiful. Tries to buffer it. It doesn't matter, and that is huge. He's down. Down for 40 seconds, he will not be here.
I mean, if I'm going to be honest with you, Skimmy, that looks like tilt. I really don't think there's any other way to phrase that. Only will be able to use the blast cone and get himself out perfectly fine. But let's be honest, we've got a Twisted Fate ulting towards the top lane, pushing to split. This is the strategy that we said could have been viable for them a little while ago that they're starting to do now. Elder is going to be started. It could be an inhibitor traded, depending on how long this takes. It could be only just going in and seeing, but almost impossible to gain access to the Elder. They have to concede. And it's not a Baron recall, so it should just be an inhibitor trade.
I was going to say, surely above all else right now, if only is your only fed member, it's just not worth to die.
I can't believe how close the gold is. Like, Gravitas must have forgotten to farm.
It's a huge lead here for Piglet. Then it falls off dramatically after the gold card goes out. The Elder is there, zap, and gone. So he's done the job. He's taken an inhib, the first of the game. He'll be up in time for this next Baron.
Yeah, but none of those Baron-empowered recalls, I guess, does give them a trader. If you were Liv, you've kind of just opened one eye and found an angle. An almost impossible angle, I will admit, now that your opponents have the Elder, but at least it was a trade. The ornament's coming through as well here, Skimmy. It goes from bad to worse. You know, what was a fairly even game is now on paper much worse for gold values, because the Ornn store gives them about 1,000 per item. Inhibs will fall easily. Skimmy, the question is where do Kanga draw the line? Chungi is now back alive.
They're pushing. They have a cannon. They're working their way towards this one. Liv is still going on through. Now comes the TP. A full 5v5 inside their own base. The Elder is still up for another whole minute. It's risky, but they have to do something.
They're playing one lane to end right now. Piglet's hitting.
Here we go. Oh, he's gone! He got one shot! Unbelievable amounts of damage right there. Lived with one final chance to try and make something happen in this game. The crash down, the hero's entrance, but the only hero on this occasion is Gravitas as they claim their first victory of the split.
I mean, what a way to do it as well. You bring in Nobody, you bring in a Zeus. Both have a pretty solid showing. Nobody just being a top rock, absolute titan in the top lane. But Azu's put in some serious work, and it really was the Yuumi Zeri that proved to be a big deal, right? Nocturne plays towards that lane. Darjun kind of matching mid lane as well in what he was able to provide with the roaming.
Yeah.
Full credit to all of Gravitas across the board doing their jobs, but that was a completely different team to what we've seen from Gravitas in the past 2 weeks of the LCO. So that's the biggest thing. We have to look at Azus and Nobody and say that there was a difference there for sure.
It was, and I'm sure Max will be feeling pretty good about his difference as he actually tipped them. Gravitas, what a way to get a win on the board.
Ooh, none of you saw it coming, but I knew that B1 Zeri pick was coming through and the Piglet was going to have his best game so far this year, because he had some pretty good games last year. But Look, this is great. This is looking really good. He came through, picked Zeri. I was like, oh, this is going to potentially be a little interesting because Lemus, of course, plays it. So I was like, he's going to know this lane matchup. He's going to know exactly what to do to get the dub. But Piglet just seemed to have so much help. The global presence diff was there for Gravitas. They were all over. They were catching Kanga with their pants down on every single lane. And of course, Azus, the super sub, with that knocked pick was just everywhere. Always there for the initiation. He had those Ionians as well, so that cuts the ult time down by a huge amount with that haste. And it just made it so much fun to watch, at least if you're a Gravitas picker like me, Rust.
Yeah, it definitely was a fun game to watch for any Gravitas fans out there. It was a solid victory almost from top to toe as well, right? The only place that was being exposed was top lane.
Yeah.
And this is really the only mistake that I think we saw from Piglet through majority of this game, trying to defend a turret that was already gone. But if it baits a fight that effectively gives your team the game, who cares? It's definitely one of the ways that you'd be looking at this one. Dajung actually looked very good on this Galio, playing for the map. So I was a big fan of what I saw from him in this game. For me though, Mac, it is the bottom lane of Kanga that left a lot to be desired. I don't know if it's just the pressure from the Nocturne, or if Gravitas played everything possible well against them and they saw no way in. But Lemus and Lionel definitely were shaky through their laning phase and just gave so much to the Gravitas king.
Well, I think there was even that flame horizon coming through towards the end, but that's of course because Piglet just had so much presence across the map. He was able to take jungle camps left and right, jumping into mid, just farming waves, back down to bot, you know, you name it. Like, that's the thing about Zeri's speed, right? It's just so much ability to rotate in the blink of an eye. And look, gold diff, it was there. It was in favor of Kanga for the most part of the game. I'd say for the first like 25 minutes before Gravitas actually took over. But it was, of course, just those team fights being won time after time. They had a little bit of a wombo with a couple of those ults, you know, knocked. So Gravitas had Nocturne banned like almost all of last year after that one game where they pulled the Fiddle Knocked combo. And maybe that's going to be a trend that continues this year because you can see you give him Nocturne and there's just so much information that's denied for the opposing team. So, I don't know, like you're looking at the numbers there, Rusty. Was there anything you picked up?
No, nothing big from the numbers. I was looking at the bans though, and the Zoe third ban does actually lend my eyes towards perhaps it is a Zeri angle, perhaps it is a Nocturne angle in the future. I don't know if Dajung is just that good at Zoe when these other champions exist and they are a serious issue for the whole map.
I will just add though, Matt, quickly. Almost like piggybacking to Rusty's point at the end there, where they do finally go for the split push with the Twist of Fate that has the Lich Bane. You can see there, Lived actually has the Hull Breaker on the Camille to try and split push as well. You have to wonder if they're in a state of mind where the communication is only saying, I'm so fed, let's fight. Let's not get caught on the sideways where they can global us. I mean, we can global too, and they did so effectively to try and take down Nobody multiple times, but it felt like they were saying, let's just team fight. They want a team fight. It almost feels like they're in two different states of mind because their gold resources were in a place that doesn't want to split push. I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be a very frustrating VOD review for them.
Yeah, I can tell you as well, even though we can only see like the one player's camera that are there at the same time, but towards the end, you could see Piglet just non-stop talking, pretty much trying to control everything, say exactly how they're going to win. He was just talking the whole time. And Lemus is the opposing ADC. He was not saying anything. He was quiet. You could tell that he knew something had gone wrong and he wasn't doing anything in terms of communication to try to fix that. It's like at that point though, what do you do? Now, I have the person that is perfect to ask that question to, and it's Kitty. You know, what do you do in a situation like that when you're so far behind?
Obviously, they didn't play early game the best from Kanga, so I would, you know, 0-9 bot lane, I would just FF. That was a complete... that was not the best game from Kanga, let's just say that. But someone who had a good game was Piglet, and I've got him on the side for the interview. Congrats on your first win in the new split. How are you and the team feeling?
We're feeling pretty good. I mean, it was a bit of a draft gap, but yeah, there's not much else to say. I mean, we were predicting like just pretty bad like top strong side and then bot weak side, and then I mean they kind of played both top and bot kind of strong, and then they just fell apart after they gave us Zeri.
Well, let's talk about Zeri. So you guys B1, B2 picked Zeri Yumi, which is also known as Zumi. I'm wondering,
Yeah.
obviously Zeri is a non-traditional ADC where her auto attacks are replaced with skill shots. How on earth do you play Zeri and how do you pilot her during a team fight?
So I mean, in bot lane you basically have 2 auto attacks, so you can actually keep up prior with most like traditional bot laners. With team fights, it's basically just a lot of spamming, and then if they come into you, you want to kite back, and then you kite forward. So it's basically a back and forth between you and the other team.
Someone actually told me that Zeri is sort of like Singed, where you don't chase her because if you chase her, you die. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And speaking about draft, you guys drafted on Nocturne Galio topside. You guys had 2 global ults and the Herald Gold was given to you. Do you think with the introduction of Zeri, it will change the meta where the ADCs get the resource?
I don't know. I mean, still Jinx Ophelia is favored for meta at the moment, so I'm not too sure how Zeri will actually be for most other regions compared to Oath. Oath is pretty good because it's just fight heavy, which is a bit like LPL style, but yeah, I mean, it's resource intensive, but you don't, it's kind of like you play your own resources because you're just a champion that scales.
Well, good to know. Congrats again on the win, Piglet, and hope you have a good night's rest for tomorrow's game.
Yep, thank you.
Great to hear from Piglet as well. Man was popping off that game, and he had an absolute blaster. So Zumi is what we're calling it with the old Zeri and Yumi. Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I was calling it all game, so I hope so.
It's been dubbed, Rusty Kitty, and everyone else out there. So hopefully we get to see some more Zumi today. Maybe after seeing that game, some other teams are not going to let that one through. Either way, we do have a player of the game. It could have been Piglet, but it wasn't because man's OP, it was a Zeus. Coming in, super sub, and all over the map, setting up so many of those ganks, which of course is pretty damn easy when you've got that knocked in play. You get that ultimate online, you hit level 6, and you just go in for those kills. 80% kill participation as well. So really doing work here, Skimmy, today for Gravitas.
Yeah, hugely. And you asked the obvious question, right? You got a huge roster. What does it look like when you can manage all these players? Well, you got the answer from the coach. You got the answer from the result itself. They've got a lot of experience. They've got a clear definition of how they want to play the game. And it looked so, I want to say, flawless. I mean, they clearly had an idea of how they want to target it. And I mean, now you beg the question, you know, when Foreigner is available, do you want to play him again or does Zeus? I'm sure there must be so many levels to the discussion as to who is your 5-man starting roster. But maybe these 5, sorry, are the lucky charm.
Yeah, the Exodia maybe. Now, something else that's flawless is the amount of submissions we've had from the fans. Now, we've got to blast through these before we jump onto the ad break. So I'm going to be throwing it to one person. They're going to answer it, and then we move on to the next. So is a hot dog a sandwich, Kitty?
I would say no, because technically a sandwich is a piece of bread, a piece of whatever you put in the middle, and then a second piece of bread. A hot dog is just
A taco.
one bread. Yeah, it's just a taco. It's not.
It's just one bread.
A hot dog is a taco.
I see you, Cubby. Shut
You
up,
know what I
Cubby.
mean?
So, meaty
Yeah,
old
what
taco.
Rusty said.
Very cool. Now let's jump into the next question. Got to get through these. And we have ATQN __ is Pavlova Australian or New Zealand? Skimmy, tell me.
Well, this is the easiest answer I always give people when they ask. Pavlova is New Zealand because it has kiwi fruit on top. It's in the name.
Look, and New Zealand itself looks like a very terrible Pavlova if you look at the shape of it. Now let's jump into question number 3. And what have we got here, Rusty? This is for you. How can I get out of Platinum 2? Hashtag LCO.
Just win, bro.
Just win, bro. So
Don't
that was
ask
easy.
me, I'm stuck.
Well, okay, Kitty, how do you get out of Plat 2?
Get good.
Yeah, there you go. Easy. So easy answers coming through there. And
be
a
bad.
great couple of questions. Now, you guys at home, please stop being bad. Get out of Plat 2. Coming from the Bronze 4-1 player, I can't even remember. I haven't played in about a week. Now, it's hard. It's hard to climb. I know that. It's hard to win in competitive games as well. Kanga knows that. And look, we've got more games to jump on into. Order and PGG is going to be the next game on the roster. And that one is going to be coming up not too far on the other side of this break. So strap yourselves in because it's going to be huge.
As got 2 completed items to 1. Piglet.
Here we go, Liv jumping in once again. Piglet with a one-man ult, turn things around, go golden into station. But look at Liv on the side, he has no flash, he has no dash, he's dead, he's gone. Now looking for a second kill, straight on towards another target. Now, Chongi's turn to go gold, and Lemus turns around, he has no life steal, the Moonlight Vigil was not enough. It's a double kill for Piglet.